Olha o contra-ataque aí. Vem que vem o time avançando rápido pela linha de campo. Bola dominada no pé do camisa 10. Ele vai pra cima, passou pelo primeiro, passou pelo segundo. Invadiu a grande área, vai chutar. Bateu, é gol! Que golaço, minha gente!
A experiência de futebol mais autêntica já criada para os games. Junte-se no 5x5 Rush, a nova maneira de jogar com os amigos e leve seu clube para a vitória. EA Sports FC25. Dê tudo pelo clube. Já disponível.
RH, quer saber como voar no trabalho? É só usar a Flash. Com a Flash, você concentra toda a gestão de pessoas em um único lugar. Faça a admissão dos colaboradores e solicite mais de 8 categorias de benefícios. Ah, e você ainda pode fazer todo o controle de ponto. Conheça o novo onboarding integrado da Flash em flashapp.com.br.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. This is a podcast where we take your calls and we give you advice. Some fantastic, wonderful, honest advice that, is ranging on a lot of topics. We talk about sex, relationships, friendships, family. We yell at you for leaving your house during the pandemic and everything. And anything in between. So we are basing all of our own advice on our life experiences because, contrary to what you may be thinking, as you see Melisa, my amazing co-host, in a cheetah print t-shirt and me in my unicorn shirt, these people are not licensed professionals?
No, not at all.
You could have fucking fooled me. We are giving our advice only from our own life experiences, and we give advice like we would give advice to each other, or we give advice to our friends. Mm-hmm. We are very honest. We're blunt. We're not about sugarcoating everything, but we're doing it for you. We're doing it out of love, tough love. Kate Gosling. Is Kate Gosling problematic? John and Kate +8, but the whole thing was tough love.
Isn't she problematic?
I feel like
the whole thing is problematic,
The
right?
whole thing is You're right. I mean, as a whole, it's problematic, and I think therefore she would probably fall into the problematic.
Was she giving people advice?
No, but she was about tough love was her thing.
Oh, I watched it like on and off. I never just sat down and plowed through.
I was addicted. I don't know why. Also,
you were a child. Aren't you the same age as her children?
The older ones. I was close to their age. Maddie? I think she's a couple years younger than me. We're giving it all from our own personal advice and our own life experiences. So we might be a little bit cunty, but we're cunty for the greater good. Cunts for good.
Yes. Cunts for good.
I am your host, Megan Rinks, joined by my co-host and producer, the most fantastic, fabulous, and the person who literally makes this podcast run and is the glue, Melisa D. Monts.
Oh, thank you, Megan.
You are the glue. Without
and you're the glitter.
Oh my God. I know that's a saying, but I do feel seen by that. I feel very seen by that. I definitely think of myself as the accoutrements rather than the actual protein or sustainability things. The real sustenance. And if you're noticing, hey, Megan, you seem a little bit out of it. I have really bad period cramps. If you've been around here for a while, suspected to have endometriosis. And we almost had to cancel this recording session today because I was dying, barfing, losing my mind, ripping my insides out.
It's so sad. And I'm sorry you have to go through it.
I recorded a video on my phone. I texted Moss because he was golfing and I was because this is what happens every month. I have horrible cramps. It's the worst week ever. And then as soon as I feel better, I don't want to think about it anymore. So I don't call to make an appointment with a new gynecologist. And the past 2 months have been so supremely bad that I was recorded a video on my phone and I to tell myself, I was you are fucking going, as soon as your period is over, as soon as you feel better, you are calling a gynecologist. And I texted Monts and said the exact same thing. So if you are watching this, I don't think you'll be able to pick up on listening it, but if you're watching this and I seem a little
on
bit
Patreon.
On Patreon. Hello, everybody. I might look a little bit out of it. Medical marijuana is a great fucking thing. But when you have to have so much to feel somewhat normal, If you look at my eyes and you're like, damn, is that bitch high? A little bit. And it's fine. It's legal. It's California. And I would like you to sit your judgmental asses down if you're passing judgment, because I'm passing clots. So shut the fuck up.
Oh my gosh. All I have to say is I need you to remember who convinced you to go to the gynecologist the first time.
Yeah.
So why didn't you send me the video so that I could be the one to tell you to go to the doctor?
Well, you're here right now.
I am here.
You are here to hold me accountable. I mean, truly, what like productive and like good things have I done that you haven't been involved in? Honestly, not much. Like,
I think you survived the first like 23 years of your life.
Survived, quote unquote. No, but like if I think about even like you were one of the people who like convinced me to start wearing my hair natural. Mm-hmm. So, embracing my wavy hair. There you go. Literally everything. Like you're the one who like is like, oh, well, save my fucking life. Everything and in between. I'm like, okay. I mean, when I'm like, I have nothing to do. I'm so stressed. I hate my life. And you're like, hey, this is a new project we're going to do. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's great. Between you and Monts, I'm like, I just feel like I get shuffled around places and I love it. I love to be shuffled around. I'm like a deck of cards. If you guys want to call and leave a voicemail, you can leave a voicemail for us at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. You need to make sure that your voice memo, whatever you do, is under 3 minutes long. So we suggest writing it down and then reading it out loud. You can time it that way. And it's also a great way to know if you are including all the right details. You can cut out any unnecessary things. And
add things that are necessary.
It is a common theme in this podcast that there are calls where we are missing large chunks of things and we have a lot of questions. And there's a lot of stuff that I didn't need to know. Like we usually do not need to know how big someone's dick is unless that is about
of them ruining your pussy in a good or bad way.
Yes, that's the only time we need to know how big someone's dick is or how good they are in bed. Unless it's about sex, we don't really need to know it. Yeah. You do not need to justify it of why you're dating a fuckboy. Mm-hmm. We've all been there. But before we get into our calls, we have a live update. So let's hop on over.
All right. So this is from season 5, episode 23. And I believe the title of the episode was The Caller.
Yes.
Like,
oh my God. What an honor.
I know. I was like, because I had called in and then I saw that episode and I was like, this has to be me. And it was.
That must be such a cool feeling. I don't know if we've ever talked to someone. I don't think I've ever even thought about that or talked to any like callers who have been like the title episode.
I was honored.
Oh, I would be too.
Thank you.
All right. So if you can give us a summary of your original call and then share your update.
So essentially, I had called in because I had hooked up with this guy and he was only the second person I'd had sex with. And for me, as the title said, I just have an overly sensitive button. And
I just snotted as you said button.
That's what we had to censor it as.
Yes, I loved it. And I'm just using it because it doesn't feel weird. So, and I think it's more of just like I know how I like it. And guys aren't going to know that. So it really comes down to a communication thing, which is kind of what you guys had told me. And that's what I really needed to hear is like, this isn't like something to do with my body. It's something to do with like how I'm communicating with my partners. And the guy that I hooked up with is like a way better sexual partner as far as communication goes than my ex-boyfriend. And my ex-boyfriend just didn't communicate.
Oh. Was he the first? Was he your first?
Yes. Yeah.
And were you his first too?
No.
Okay.
He just sucked.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty common. Like,
yeah, no. He was my first, but I wasn't his, and he just wasn't great all around. So, yeah. So the whole smashing the patriarchy thing really, I think, like, is what drove me. Because I was like, yes, this isn't just me. Like, this is a whole expectation we have for women is just to, like, show up to the bedroom and do it. And however we get, that's how it is. And that's not how it should be. Right. And So when I had hooked up with this partner again, I was a bit more verbal and I felt really good. And when I called in for my update, I was just like hyped and I really wanted to share it with you guys.
Hell yes. Ugh.
So how did you communicate with your new partner? Is it your boyfriend or a new hookup?
No, it's just a friends with benefits.
Even better
even better.
I think I said beffer, but better.
What you meant. So I don't know if you guys had maybe you guys did mention it. I haven't listened to the call since I called in and listened to the episode because it feels weird to listen to myself.
Yeah.
But I think you guys might have mentioned talking about it before, but him and I just was like, we're not going to do that. So it was more in the moment, I was just like, hey, don't do this. Do this. Try this. Wait, no, not that. This. So it was just kind of correcting as it was happening. And he took it really well and was like, oh, okay, let me do that. So that's what I did. And that's what I feel like I'll probably do with future partners.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's a little less awkward than being like, hey, by the way, when we get down to it.
Here are your notes before it happens again.
I just went on my notes section.
Right.
You don't get a good
send
review.
them a PowerPoint presentation before it even happens.
I'll do that right after we get off this call.
Yeah.
But the great thing is, though, is it only ever takes, if we talk about it specifically just in heterosexual, cis, straight relationships, it only takes the first person and usually the girl in the relationship to or whoever hooking up with, to give the, hey, this isn't really what works, and then this and this and this. Mm-hmm. And then that guy then will take that information, if he's not an asshole, and then every other partner he sleeps with is hey, what are you into? What do you like? Because it's oh, okay, it's not just porn and I just stick it in and it's all fucking great. It's just so much better that way. And I think it's also kind of charity work. You're doing all of the other people that they'll sleep with a massive favor.
Right? It's
forward. Right? I think about all of the guys that I never fucking corrected and just was yeah, I loved it. It was great. And I'm are you 30 now and not making girls come? You gotta meet them. When did you learn that was not how this works, or how to ask what your partner is into?
Yeah. And I think with the guy that I hooked up with, I honestly feel he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't have that, he hasn't made the full circle of asking, because he's just oh, I know. And I'm but if you ask, then you'll actually know. And then everyone will have a great time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also, like we said in the original call, most guys aren't afraid of if giving you a full blown seminar as you're sucking their dick, of being in the a whole tutorial, hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and you're down, they're fine doing that usually. And so I'm why is it not? Come on, we have to be able to do the exact same thing.
Exactly.
And I think it's a little. I mean, I've never gone down on a vagina before, but as someone who possesses a vagina, I'm this is a little more confusing than
there's a lot of flaps and
crevices
and jiggles and holes.
Yeah, you can't see. You're going into a cave versus a boulder.
I don't know what you're talking about. I always have a ring light right over my clit when guys are going down.
PowerPoint. It's a necessity.
Yes.
I could never.
Or one of those things when minors wear the strap that goes around your head that has the flashlight.
Stop.
You really just take a look down there. I brought the headlight.
Well, thank you so much for calling back, and thanks so much for your original call. I think it's such a important thing that we don't talk about, and I mean we talk about on the podcast a fuck ton, sex and stuff,
but as women as a whole,
yeah. That's kind of why I had called in, is because I had a couple of friends where I was I feel comfortable coming to you with this, but it's one, I knew didn't have this experience, and two, kind of is judgmental. So I was I'm just going to call the podcast gals, and I know that they'll know what to say. And you guys did. So I really appreciate that.
We love it. Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you listen and all of that stuff.
Thank you, guys.
So we're going to get into the calls, but before we do that, if you are listening to this episode and you're yo, bitches, where's the video? You might not know, and this is us telling you that we have moved our videos over to Patreon under a $1 tier. So that's $1 for 4 videos, sometimes 5 videos a month.
If there's 5 Mondays in a month, then you're getting 5 videos.
For $1. One singular dollar. And it would really, make our lives if you went over to our Patreon. We also have other tiers. We've got a $5 tier if you would like to join in for live streams and other fun stuff like that. But the videos just for $1. Let's get into this.
I'm calling because I need some advice about my roommate. So last year, I'm a junior in college, and last year we dormed together. So it was obviously one room, and then we had communal bathrooms that we shared, and we got along really well. So we decided to live together again this year. She's practically my best friend. So we have an apartment this year. We have a living room, one bedroom, and a bathroom. It's just the two of us here. And she's been driving me absolutely crazy, which has never been a problem before. But I just feel like every move I make, she questions me. If we're both sitting on the couch and I get up to even go to the bathroom, she's like, oh my God, where are you going? And are you going in the room? Are you doing homework somewhere else? And every time I make food, it's just constant like hovering over me, and what I'm doing, constantly wants to know every little thing that I'm doing. And I hate that about living at home because I know like it comes from a good place, but my parents always do that to me at home. So that's why I was kind of looking forward to coming back to college and just being independent again. And when people hover over me like that, I just feel kind of claustrophobic. I feel uncomfortable, and I don't know how to nicely say to her that she's annoying the shit out of me. So, yeah, if you have any advice for me, and please let me know what you think I should do, because I'm not a very confrontational person. I don't know if I said this yet, but I am a Libra, so I don't like to confront people. And yeah, thanks.
Oi.
I just want to start by saying what I always start saying when it's a roommate issue. Don't room with your friends. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Because then you don't have that barrier of you being rude, because you can just be rude.
Yeah.
And not ruin a friendship.
I think there's like a certain kind of friend who can live together. Like, I think that like it is either your absolute best friend, and you've been friends for a while.
Yeah,
like
that's like more like when it's that type of best friend, they're like your sibling at that point. So
like,
you don't have to be on your best behavior around
you
them.
can still be rude. That's the thing. It has to be like either you're so close and it is like your sibling and you can be like say whatever and it's not rude because that's your relationship, or like there's this weird thing of feeling like we like owe someone an explanation when we're like just friends. We're not like so close to siblings, and we're not just like friendly and roommates. I mean, this is hard because like I think she just might think you guys are closer than you are. And I think like she might, because I would be, if Sydney and I were hanging out and she just like got up and went somewhere, like, where are you going? Like,
but to the bathroom?
I mean, I wouldn't ask. Maybe I'm like in such a weird, because we haven't left our houses in so long and I haven't seen anybody besides Monts, that like if Monts gets up and goes, like if he just like will rant, but it just depends on what he's doing. Like if he's cooking, I'm like, oh, what are you making? Like, but I don't like walk in there and I'm like, hi, hello.
But like if he just like gets up, you're like, where are you going? What are you doing?
No, only if he like is going downstairs. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, but it's not like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, what the fuck are you, like, where are you going?
Yeah.
So, no, I think it's just odd. Okay, so she said did she say they share a bedroom? Because she said one bedroom.
I think she did.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, this just seems, like, not to get, like, psychoanalyzing your roommate, but I mean, here's the thing. She's either just annoying, like, as a person, like, her personality is just, like, annoying and you didn't really notice it before. Or she's like an anxiously attached person and is like, it's just an innate response to things that like, I understand that, like, that's something that like I have to like work on. But, I've never really known that in like friendships. I usually know it more in like relationships as being like a thing. But if you guys are really close and you consider her basically one of your best friends, you have to talk about this. Otherwise, like
you're gonna snap.
You're gonna bite her fucking head off. I mean, I would. I mean, it's hard though, because literally, like, what do you say?
Here we do role play, right?
Okay, great. You're being her, because like I don't even know what
caller or the roommate.
Yeah, the caller. Because I don't know what to say without being a cunt.
Okay.
So
I'm getting up. I'm going to the bathroom.
Hey, where are you going?
I'm just going to the bathroom. You don't have to ask me every time I get up. Like, we're in a pandemic. I'm either like going to class if I have to, or I'm staying here in the apartment. I was just going to the bathroom.
Oh, okay. Oh, I have an idea. This is not me being that I broke character.
Okay.
But what if, like, when you're saying, like what I think that exactly like that is right. But then when you say that and it's like, hey, how about this? If I'm going somewhere or doing something, like if I decide that I'm going to, like, if you're doing something that is going to like affect, if you guys were watching a movie and you're done watching the movie, like, and you just get up and leave and just like, and then she's like, oh, is she going to the bathroom or is she not coming back? What if you say something along the lines of like, hey, but if we're watching a movie or we're doing something, or if I was going to go, just like, if I change my mind with what I want to do, I'll let you know. But if I just get up and like go do something, like I'm coming, do you know what I mean? Like something where along the lines of like, because that's what like if you want to go do your homework somewhere else, this is the thing that I'm coming from. If I'm being the roommate, I think what she's doing is super annoying. But if you guys are doing homework together on the dining room table and then you suddenly pack up all of your stuff and just go upstairs, how do you read that?
That I'm done. Like, I just...
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm probably more like the caller. And
Totally.
You might be more like the... And I'm just like, I'm done. I'm going to go upstairs.
But would you say that?
Probably not.
Okay. So I think that
maybe, I guess.
Well, no, because I think like depending on how close I felt with like the person, like if she has like gone from having some like not so great friendships or whatever, like she might be thinking like, oh, she like is upset with me and doesn't want to like she doesn't want to hang out with me anymore or something like that. That's what I would pick up from like if you guys are watching a movie and you suddenly just get up and go upstairs and like don't say anything and you don't come back down. Or if you're doing an activity together and then suddenly you just are like disappear and out. It's kind of like, oh, like, are we okay? Like, are you annoyed or whatever? I could see that. But then the whole, like, she follows you into the kitchen to like ask what you're making and doing all of that. That to me that doesn't line up with, oh, I'm anxious about you or nervous that like our friendship, like you're mad at me or something like that. To me, it doesn't seem like that. So I would just say I would like maybe even not when it happens. Like, because I think that, I mean, I would personally feel a little bit more uncomfortable doing it as it's happening. I would just say, like, have us, like, either text her if you feel comfortable or, like, sit down with her and be like, hey, I love living with you. I think you're so great. And, like, we have so much fun. I want to say that I don't think this is your intention at all. But, like, when I get up and go do something and you ask me what I'm doing or I'm in the kitchen, you keep asking me, like, I say this and, like, I'm not trying to be a bitch at all. But, like, it does kind of remind me of my mom. And, like, I, like, love you, like I like love our relationship and I like love being your roommate and that stuff, but I just would love if we can just kind of like be able to have like our own independent things that we're doing, and if there's something that involves you or affects you that I'm like gonna go do or something, or if I am like frustrated with you or I have an issue with you, like just know that I will come to you with that. And so if you're checking in on me or like asking you about this stuff because you're worried if we're okay, like just know that we are. I will totally talk to you about it if we're not. But I would just love to be able to kind of like, you know, live in the apartment and do everything that I want to do without like kind of giving you it's like Massey Block in the Click books, which she says something like, did I invite you to my barbecue, Claire? No. Then why are you all up in my grill? And then she says things like, I don't have to give you like a play-by-play. Like, what is this, football? Like, I don't think you have to do something like that.
What
but
is
I think
this?
It's some book. Other people understand the Click books. It just made a whole generation of girls absolute cunts. Me and Jerry included. It's very much our thing. But I think if you can just cover the base that maybe she might feel like anxious that you are upset with her or something and throw that in there, I think like, and say like, hey, I'll talk to you if we do have a problem. But I think like, yeah, if you play it off and kind of like I tell her, it kind of reminds me of your mom. Like, I think that's valid. Communication is key. And you like her, so I don't think you're going to hurt her feelings intentionally. And also her feelings on this subject, like this is a totally valid thing. Like if her feelings are hurt, that's not like, it's not your problem and it's not your responsibility to be and like take in that annoyance and just like let it happen for the sake of like not making her feel like bad or uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, it will just backfire and like you will snap. Absolutely snap.
All right. Time for the next one.
Let's do it.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm 23 years old, and I am dating a 27-year-old man. What? So we've been dating for 5 years. We have a 5-month-old together. It's our first child. Recently, it has been brought up to both of our attention is that we never thanked his aunt for a baby shower gift, which happened back in March, well, 6 months ago. And we never got a gift from her. So I'm a little confused on what she wants us to thank her for. But I mean, we never demand gifts, no gift, no problem. I mean, there's just no pressure to it. Anyway, the baby shower had some of my family, his mom, dad, and sister, and then majority of our friends and coworkers. So one, she wants a thank you card for not giving a gift, and she wants a thank you card for not attending. She never attended the baby shower. So I'm a little confused on what she wants us to even thank her for. Yeah, I don't know. I want this to make sense. I don't understand anything. But clearly, I mean, unless I'm overthinking this, the mom and the aunt, I think we're talking shit about me and my boyfriend, because it's just 6 months later and she wants something that, I mean, doesn't deserve. I mean, that's me. She didn't give a gift and she didn't attend. So she wants a thank you card for something. Her and I have never really been close. My boyfriend and her have never been close. So she's really taking it to a new level. I mean, from never talking to now wanting something that I don't think that she should get. I don't know. It's a simple thank you card, so whatever. I can write some shit up and whatever, but it's just like the concept of it all. It's like, we don't really know you and we don't know what we're thanking you for, because you didn't do the two things that require a thank you card. I don't know. Whatever. Love you guys. Maybe I'm being dramatic and overthinking it, but love your input. Thanks, guys. Bye.
If you're not watching the video, we're cracking up because this woman is so fucking dumb. Like, I know old bitches love a thank you card, like a handwritten thank you card, but like,
you have to do
what?
something.
Thank you for being alive. Thank you for having part of the baby's DNA. Like,
this reminds me of the TikTok. You did this for what?
Yeah, like,
I can't
make
stop
it make
laughing.
sense. Somebody, please make it make sense.
Like, the only logical thing, which, to be fair, I don't even, when I'm going to say what I say is not what I think actually happened, but the only logical explanation would be that, like, she did send a gift later on and you guys never got it. But I don't think that's what happened. Like, I truly don't think so.
Because even when people like send a gift, they still like say, hey, did you get it? Or like, check the tracking.
No, yeah, you would follow up with that, and like, unless she's like so petty and like maybe she lives close by and like just dropped it off and like just assumed that like you guys like would know it was from her or something, like that. Like, even like when like you send flowers to like a funeral, like I like texted my like aunt and was like, hey, like, hope, or texted my cousin and I was like, hey, like, if these don't come with, like, I put a thank you card, but if these don't come with it, like, let me, like, and if they don't arrive, let me know. And like, I'll send something else, blah, blah, blah. Or you do it with like friends. I mean, sometimes I'll forget with like friends' birthdays, but then like with Jerry's birthday, but then she texts me and she goes, this is from you. I already know. And I was like, oh yeah, shit, forgot to like include that. But I like, here's the thing. I think that it's like when you're saying like, oh yeah, I'll just like write the thing. Right. What are you going to write in it? That's what I'm like. That's what's holding me back. It's not like the
thank you for breathing and thank you for having part of the baby's DNA. That's what you write.
Maybe you just send her a greeting card.
Thinking of you.
Maybe you send her a thinking of you card with a picture of the baby.
Yeah.
Maybe you're
like
petty,
the
though.
Announcement.
Oh, yeah. That.
Yeah,
Or maybe you're petty and you send a thinking of you card and you send a picture of the baby and say, really wish you could have attended the shower.
Yes. Yes.
Because like it is a little odd. And like, I don't even know when you said that like his sister, her sister, like
well, it was March too. Things were starting to get shut down. We don't know what was happening.
Oh, no. But I was gonna say, if you think that they were talking shit about her, like, what would they be talking shit about?
I don't know.
Like, are you close with like your like?
I would ask because it seems like it's his mom's sister. Yeah. So ask your boyfriend
to ask his mom and be like, "Hey, did she send a gift that we didn't get?" Yeah. Like, if she's asking for, because I'm assuming the reason why she wants a thank you gift is through his mom, and so then I would have your boyfriend ask his mom again and be like, "Hey, we like looked over everything and like she didn't come to the shower, but like we didn't get a gift from her. Like, can you like, did she send something that like might have gotten like lost in the mail? Like, we obviously don't want to be rude, but like, and then if she said, oh no, she didn't. And then I would just have like, this is your boyfriend's problem. I would have your boyfriend be like, okay, so what does she want a thank you card for?
Right.
Like
thank you for,
thanks for nothing, bitch.
Yeah.
Like that's what thank you for nothing. Is literally what you would say. I'm dying though. This is like the epitome of a fucking boomer to me. Okay, well, I think the consensus is have your boyfriend. Figure out that stuff and then decide if you want to be petty. And I think if you decide to be petty, also make sure your boyfriend is okay with that because it is his family. And then a thinking of you card, wish you could have attended our baby shower. Yeah. With a picture of the baby or just a drawing of the baby.
Or like you and the baby.
Yeah.
Or like you with just like the tip of the baby's head.
With an emoji over the face. That would be so fucking funny. I die. This is wild. If anyone has any similar stories like this, I would love to know. Because like this is just like, I don't know why this entertained me so fucking much.
We were giggling like two little schoolgirls who were just told the funniest joke in the world. This is a joke.
I can't remember the last time I laughed so hard. Like, this is just so fucking funny to me. And you're not being dramatic and you're not being any, like, I'm dead. It's iconic. Fucking insane. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to get into the rest of our calls. Okay, guys, we are back from our break and we're going to get into the rest of our calls.
Hi, guys. How are you? My name's I'm calling from but I wanted to just ask for some advice, basically. So today, one of my friends sent me one of my friends was like, hey, do you follow your ex still? And I was like, no, obviously I don't. And she sent me his post and he posted that he's having a baby with the girl he always told me not to worry about. And we broke up like about a year ago. And I knew he got back with her, this girl. They were dating before we dated, so she's his ex. And I knew he got back with her like last fall because we kind of had talked about getting back together. And then I heard some things and confronted him and asked if they had gotten back together. And he said yes. So it's been like about a year now since all of that went down, but I'm still like finding myself very like confused and kind of like upset. Like, I don't really know. And I'm only 22. He's older, but I feel like I'm not at the age yet where I should be having to deal with like exes having kids and getting married and stuff like that. And like, this is literally something I've never had to go through before. So I'm just kind of wondering if you have any advice for like what to do or how to feel. I know there's like literally nothing I can do, but like how to feel better and kind of move on. It's just like having a fucking kid. That's insane to me when like a year ago we were talking about getting back together. So, yeah, I would love some advice or some like words of wisdom or something if you've ever been through the same thing or, you know, just ways to cope and feel better. So thank you guys. I love you. And yeah, hope you guys are staying safe. Okay, thanks. Bye.
We're 100% staying safe.
Thank you. We hope you're staying safe too.
Yes.
This is weird as fuck.
But is it?
No, but I would feel weird as fuck.
I would feel weird, but I think... Okay, so like the baby thing, it might not have been planned, or it was, but he told you not to worry about her. That right there is like key sign for worrying about somebody, or you should worry. But like, and he dated her before he dated you too.
Yeah.
And then they got back together, and you knew that they were together. So, I don't think you still have feelings for him, but it's just like the fact that he said one thing to you and now he has a baby by the person.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you can reframe it as opposed to, because I think that's exactly what it is. It's like that feeling of being like, wow, this, whatever, like, this is what, like, you told me not to worry about this girl, but like, what if you try and reframe it like, wow, go me. My intuition is so right. I knew. And like, as like, kudos to you, as opposed to like a, wow, I can't believe he like lied to me. It's like, look how fucking perceptive I am. Like, I knew this was going to happen. This is like a kudos to me that like my intuition is great. And like, when I'm in another relationship, like I like have all this proof that I need to just trust my gut. And when there's like that, oh, the girl he told me like not to worry about or whatever. If you truly stopped worrying about her, you would never think of her again. And you would have never, like, in this situation, you wouldn't even remember that she was the girl to, like, not to worry about. Like, you kept that in the back of your mind, regardless if you were like, oh, okay, like, I'm not, you still were. Like, you still were cognizant. You were still aware. It was, you kept that log in your brain. And now it's kind of like, here you go. Like, you were right all along. And so I think if you can kind of try and reframe that in your mind, as like a, as like a kudos for you versus like a knock on you for like dating someone who would do this to you. Because I think like this, like, it definitely sucks. And I think especially being 22.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
And in the location where we're going to bleep all of that out, but the location where you say that you live, like, it's not really a thing that people are getting married super young and having babies super young and all of that. And I'm sure none of your friends are going through this. And so it is just kind of we call this, me and my friends, we call this weird mood. This is just a definition of like a weird mood. And it doesn't mean that you have feelings for him. And it doesn't mean that there's like all like this unrequited or something like really deep to it. It just is like, ugh, weird. Like, stop. Like, this is just fucking weird mood. And when something's weird mood, you just avoid it and eventually you get over it. But like, you don't, it's not even something to get over. It's something you acknowledge that it's fucking weird. But like, it doesn't need to affect your life in this way at all. But it's just a weird thing that happened that is fucking odd. And eventually, I'm sure your friends will be able to relate. Like, and eventually, like, I don't have any friends. None of my exes are married, as far as I know. None of my exes are married or anything like that. But like, you know, eventually when they do, I'm sure it will be weird. And like, that will eventually happen with your friends. And then it's not like, not only are you the only one with like an ex who like, I mean, the ex who like recently moved on with his ex, but like now they're having a baby. I think eventually it'll just become more normal. It won't be less weird, but I think it'll just become more normal. Yeah. But Do you have any exes who are married who have
I'm
kids?
older than you, and I'm from Arkansas, so like most of the people that I know are
five
like
kids deep.
Some of them are like divorced on their second marriage. So like, yes, this is happened. Like it hasn't been like an ex went back to somebody.
Have you had one that's recent? Not this recent in your life, but like from the end of your relationship to someone getting married?
No, there hasn't been anybody like that. But there has been like, it's nobody that I dated, but somebody that like was with somebody else. Actually, this 3 people. 3 people I can think of. They weren't guys that I actually dated, but there are guys that were dating with somebody and then told me like, hey, I like you. I want to date you. And I'm like, no, aren't you with blah, blah? And they're like, no, it's just like casual. But then like they're married to them now. 3 dudes.
Dead.
Yeah. It's like my intuition was there. I didn't actually date him. But yeah, it's like when you know the feelings there.
It's weird. And I mean, like, moral of the story, like, trust no man. Like, there's just
trust your gut. And you did.
Yeah. And I think like just because you didn't break up because you were sus about this girl doesn't mean that you didn't trust your gut. And it doesn't mean like that, like he like bamboozled you or anything like that. Like we know we have our gut feelings and then we're still allowed to like, we don't have to necessarily like act on what is the most obvious thing you would do with that gut feeling. Like it's just as fine to like be okay with it for an extended period of time or like choose to believe someone, even though like your gut instinct is telling you something differently and like you keep that filed away. And now it's just like this moment of like, aha, you were right. Like I told you so kind of a thing. So yeah, I think you're just intuitive. And I think this can be a really, I don't know. I mean, I've definitely...
It's a tool that she has now that she knows that she can tap into if she has a weird feeling in the future.
And it's something that like, I think we've all been through somewhat of a situation where we have had a gut feeling and then we find out later that that was right or that was true. And like, regardless of the actions we did in between, like I know for me, I have to reframe that kind of stuff. And it's like, go me. I have a fucking superpower and I'm never going to not trust my gut again. Like I'm right. And this is my superpower. But weird mood. And I would also just say, just mute him. You blocked him on social and like,
it was just her friend.
I would tell your friends, be like, hey, I don't like want to know. Like,
but still, like you would have wanted to know.
Oh
like,
no, totally. But from now that you know, like if your friend is like, hey, do you want to see like the baby shower pictures? Like, do you want to see like, just say like, hey, unless I ask, I don't want to see this.
Or even send them a thank you card.
Don't let me know.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. Probably not guest since it's still coronavirus. I'm 25 years old and I'm calling because basically I've been having some health issues that I should really see a gynecologist about. But the thing is, I'm definitely afraid of the doctor. Every time I've gone to the doctor in the past and brought up an issue, I've just felt very belittled and brushed off. And so whenever I go to the doctor and feel the need to voice a concern about something, I just kind of shut down. Which is odd for me because in work, in life, I usually don't have a problem with that kind of thing. But for some reason, just going into the doctor's office just makes me extremely nervous. And I'm finally on my own health insurance, so I feel like I should go to the doctor, get this issue taken care of. But I just was looking for some advice about how to get over a fear of the doctor. I remember, Megan, you've talked a little bit about this before. And just what I should do to just sort of prepare myself so that I don't shut down, or if a doctor is trying to push back against what I'm saying, how I can voice my concerns clearly. So if you have any advice for a 25-year-old afraid of the doctor, I would be really appreciative. So thank you so much.
Megan, did you make this call a couple months ago and you're pretending to be somebody else when you were 25?
Wow. I think I was 25 too when I went to the gynecologist for the first time. Was that 2 years ago? Right? Yeah. Holy shit. This is me. This is still me.
Yeah, it's still her. Here's my tips. Have friends that hold you accountable for going. Write down everything that you want to talk about with the doctor. Every single thing. Every question you have, everything you can think of, write it down. Have a notepad. Take it to the doctor. A lot of times doctors try to rush you through what's going on. Stop them and say, no, I have this to talk about. You have to be firm. Remember, this is your health. Like, this is how you function throughout the day on a day-to-day basis. So you have to think about, like, I'm not going to be functioning at my optimal capacity, my optimal health, if I'm not straightforward in telling this doctor exactly what is happening. And then if they start doubting you or saying like, no, then you tell them, you say, hi, I hear what you're saying, but can you make a note in my chart can you make an exact note of what I'm saying and you're refusing to treat me?
That's perfect. 100%.
Especially if you're, I don't know your ethnicity, but especially if you're a woman of color, because they do not take us seriously at the doctor's office.
Which is, if you've never like dove into that as like a white person listening to this, I would highly recommend you look into like the race disparity of like treatments in the medical field. I grew up with a parent who worked in that field, so I like learned that pretty young, and it's something that I've had conversations with like my other white friends about it, and it's something that like is not commonly known, and it's
like, as a woman itself, it's something horrible, but then when you add being like, a person of color on top of that, it is very serious. I mean, I went years being told I have a lung condition, and I went years with being told that it was just heartburn. It's just indigestion. Like, you ate something spicy. That's what it was. And that's not what it was at all. It took me getting pneumonia to being diagnosed when I had been telling doctors for years that something was wrong with me.
It's absolutely like insane. Like I think it's even like they've said that like there's some study from like so fucking long ago that says like that Black women don't have the same pain receptors at all. So it's like, like, and how like having like
it was a study. It wasn't even done that long ago. I think it was done in 1997, and it's still currently being taught in medical school today. And it was maybe like 20 women that were tested. So it's not even like broad. It's not a big study. Like, there's no real there should be no real medical backing to what has been said. But
yeah. And there's so many flaws in it, and it's just absolute bullshit. And yeah, so if you have not read into that, I like really, really, really would, especially as like a white woman understanding that as well. But so what I would say, I mean, when I went to the gynecologist for the first time at 25, I like definitely wrote everything down. But like, as soon as I started talking about like how much pain I was in all the time, I was sobbing, like just sobbing. And I was lucky that I had a gynecologist who was really like kind and nice about it, and was very much like, this is not normal. That's not how anyone should be feeling. And like, it's not okay. And I read a ton of reviews about her bedside manner before I went. And I would just do that in general with any doctor. I read a ton about, and even if you can't find out like, oh, they were really receptive to like my issues or whatever, bedside manner is a great way to tell how they're kind of going to be. I personally would rather have a doctor who has a menstrual cycle. And has or had a menstrual cycle, so they understand like what that kind of feeling is and like how that goes through. So having a doctor who's never menstruated before, I find that personally like just not something that I'm as comfortable talking with, or not even that I don't trust them because they've never had one, but they don't necessarily understand like the stigma that comes around even discussing them. And so it's a lot easier. But they were definitely, like, the gynecologist I went to was like definitely like receptive to a lot of it, but like there's like a threshold and there's kind of like a point. And like, if I don't know what you're discussing, if you're discussing like endometriosis or PCOS, if you're discussing endometriosis, there is no, and this is something that like now when I'm looking into a new gynecologist, there is no point for me to go to a gynecologist unless I know that they perform or work with a team of surgeons who do laparoscopic, however you pronounce it, unless they do the surgery, because it is something that is like essentially in a huge amount of the medical field just kind of written off. And like there are doctors who perform incorrect surgeries, and like I think it's the one that you're supposed to do is cut it off. It's either there's one that's cut and burn, and one you shouldn't do because it grows back fast, and the other one doesn't. Or there's some that think that you can diagnose it just with an internal ultrasound, and it's not true. So like the vetting that you can do beforehand, like my gynecologist is great, but like the solution was, which it usually is the game plan. It's like, okay, go on birth control. And then from there we see where your pain is at and we manage your pain and we stop having you have honestly, she didn't want me to have a cycle regularly because that stops the growing of it. And then we address from there where your pain level is at to like see if we should do surgery or something like that. And mine ended up stopping covered by my insurance and all, like the birth control did. And then she left my insurance plan and all of that stuff. So, but now what I'm doing is I'm a part of a Facebook group called Nancy's Nook, which is endometriosis education. I learned about it through one of Sydney's friends had gotten the surgery, and her and I have talked about it a lot. And Sydney was one of the ones who told me when her roommate, she was like, hey, I think you have this. Like, she just got diagnosed this. She's getting the surgery to get diagnosed with this. Like, I think you have it. And then the last time I was there hanging out with him, she was like, dude, I've known you since we were all in college. Like, they went to college together. She's like, you have this. Like, we have the same periods. So that's like a great resource if endometriosis is what you're talking about. And even if it's not, if it's some other condition, I would look into Facebook groups, Reddit posts, and that kind of stuff. But the great thing about Nancy's Nook is they have these Nook approved doctors. And so they are doctors you don't have to advocate for. You don't have to like sell the point and like really go hard on everything, because they believe you and they know, and they are like approved doctors who do all of this kind of stuff. And so if you're able to, I found ones that then work in endometriosis specific clinics that are at hospitals that are gynecologists who then say specifically in their descriptions of what they do. And you can call the doctor ahead of time too and be like, hey, do you deal with this? And do you deal with this? And how, like, does this office recognize this? Blah, blah, blah. And do that vetting so you don't have to do all this emotional labor in the room and handhold a doctor to listening to you, because it is traumatizing and it makes it harder and harder to do that, like moving forward and later on. So I think if you can do as much research as you can beforehand to ensure that this doctor is someone who has a good bedside manner, who treats what you want to get diagnosed for, and all of that kind of stuff. And then still go in with your notes and do all of that. But I just know that I like fully relate to this. And I think that it is odd that I'm a very confrontational person and I'm like, will very much stand up for myself. But like in this kind of thing, like I just don't. And I think like, I don't know how much of that comes from like growing up being like a kid and like not like whatever, any sort of like psychological kind of reasoning that way. Or just in our healthcare system that like we're really taught that doctors know everything and and all of that, but we don't have universal healthcare. And like you said at the beginning, like doctors are trying to rush us through and they're overprescribing like opiates, all of these kind of things that there's this skepticism now that we have with medical professionals in like what they're valuing of our own healthcare and treating us. I mean, vaccinate your children, go to the doctor, all of that kind of stuff. But that our system is kind of built in a way where we kind of have to stay on top of these doctors to give us the treatment that we need and that we deserve.
And the thing is...
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Like a lot of doctors are overworked.
Oh yeah.
And they have like so many patients that they have to see within a day, and these, just because of the way that our health system works, it's like the more patients that they see in a day, they have to keep up with what is mandated on them by the healthcare companies. And it's not, a lot of times it may not be specifically their fault. It's just like, I mean, I have this one friend and she's like, I can't keep up. And then she still comes home and still has to go through like all her notes and all her emails and things like that. Like she works so much and she tries to give her patients as much time as she can, but it's just literally impossible because of all the mandates that she has put on her.
Mm-hmm. No, it's like our healthcare system is so broken and it makes us have to do a lot, like as patients have to do a lot of legwork to get the care that we need. And it's not even like a knock on doctors. It's a knock on the system in itself.
Yeah. Most doctors, I would say, but there's other doctors that just don't listen.
Yeah. And I think like if you have a primary care physician, something that's made me feel a lot more like empowered and a lot more confident going into like finding a new gynecologist and like really like, not that I need to necessarily stand up for myself when I go to one that like I've done all of this kind of prior vetting for, but like on the off chance, like my new primary care doctor is amazing. And like I went in there like last year or something, and I was just like really fucking tired all the time and like just wasn't feeling great. She did all this like blood work and stuff, and then like everything came back normal and I was like, okay. And she goes, no, it's not okay. Like you still feel shitty. Like just because we didn't find it this time doesn't mean that like there's not something up. And I was like, well, maybe it's all in my head. And she was like, well, that's okay, then like let's talk about that.
Figure
like
that out, because that could be something psychological that you can go to a shrink for. So
exactly. And like she was very much like, I kind of was like, I was expecting like the rush me through, like whatever, everything's fine, I'm healthy, and so I guess I should feel fine. And she's like, well, just because I didn't find anything wrong, that doesn't mean that something's not wrong. Like I can't search for everything all at one time. And like, we're going to rule these things out. We're going to figure this out because like, and I was like, well, I'm just tired. It won't kill me. And she's like, but it sucks.
But it could.
She's like, and if you are just
symptom of something else.
Yeah. And she's like, and if you're just like not feeling your best, like, no, like if I see all your blood work is normal, like my response is not going to be like, okay, you're fine. It's like, okay, well then we didn't look for the right thing. And that was one of those things that I was like, oh, wow, you care. And like, you're not trying to like brush this away or do anything like that. And that was also really, you get that kind of good remind, like that. It's like when you have like terrible friends for all, then you get a really good friend. You're like, oh God, there are good people out there, still out there.
Yeah.
And so,
and a lot of the times it may just like going to your primary care physician and getting that referral, which can be like a bear in itself. But once you get the referral, the doctor that specializes in that one thing probably has a little bit more time where they can sit and talk to you. This is like a couple years ago, I found a lump in my breast, and I went to my primary care doctor, and he was like, he touched it and he's like, oh, it's nothing. Like, you don't have to worry about it. But I like demanded, I was like, no, I want to get this. He's like, you're young. And I was like, well, breast cancer runs in my family. I want to get this like checked out. So he gave me a referral. Went to the lady. I forgot what kind of doctor she was, but she like sat there, like she was so nice and so kind and took the time, and she like examined me and did a scan or whatever. And then she was like, it's not cancerous or anything. You probably just like, you just have like lumpy breasts, which some people have. And so she like talked to me about what that meant. Walk me through all that, and she was like, you know, if it doesn't go away within a couple months, then come back and we'll do another scan. So You got to fight. It's sad that you have to fight, but you have to stand up for yourself. And if you go in and have that like hardcore mindset, like my health is important, then you can get through it.
Yeah. And there's it sucks to say too, I would say also, as much as you can, do as much research as you can about a doctor that is covered by your insurance and a specialist who is, but then also know that depending on your quality of life, if you can't find a doctor, a specialist who is covered, there are some times where you can have like you're paying out of pocket for a specific one, but then if you end up needing to get like surgery or a medication or something like that, that then becomes covered by your insurance. But the original, like that kind of thing. So I would just do as much research as you can. And I also have personally found I'm like a huge fan of ZocDoc normally, but when it comes to specialists and like for me finding a gynecologist, I ended up doing a whole login information for, maybe everybody else has done this before, but like I got the login information for my health insurance plan and then was cross-referencing it with like local hospitals near here who have like endometriosis, like units and all of that stuff with like a list of like approved doctors and all of that. And then cross-referencing and then finding people in this, and like, it took me a long ass fucking time and like involved like phone calls because not everything's like available online, but, you can find people that way too. And it's just
and also one thing that you could do is have a friend go with you, somebody that you trust, and they'll 100%. Hold you accountable too.
Yeah, no, that's like a very, very good point. I was thinking about that for the next time that I go. I was like, maybe I'll just either have you or Monts go with me. And then I'm like, you know? And you're like, yeah, no, she's dying. It's not good.
It might be harder now because of COVID and they're only letting like one person in at a time. But
but
you could have them on the phone.
But sending you lots of well wishes. If it's involving cramps, I definitely feel you today specifically.
Well, it's time for Don't Blame Them now.
Hell yeah. What is this from?
So the original call was in season 6, episode 14. And the gal that called, she was a little bit upset because her boyfriend writes sad breakup songs about his exes. So here's somebody calling to share their experience.
I'm curious.
Hi, I'm calling in about the caller from the August 31st episode whose boyfriend was a songwriter. I called in once, but I realized that my thought process was like kind of all over the place and weird, so I wanted to sort of do it again in a way that made more sense. So I'm also a songwriter. I'm a Cancer Sun and Aquarius Moon, so I basically just feel so much, always, all the time. And I know that for me, writing anything while I'm in the middle of feeling strongly about things is almost impossible. Like if I'm really, really sad about something, I try writing about it that day, I almost always end up with a worse product. Like it's not clear or it's whatever it is. Like the song ends up way worse if I'm writing on a day where I'm emotional about the thing I'm writing about. So I know that for me, writing in hindsight, the way that it seems like the caller's boyfriend was doing produces a better product. And for that reason, like alone, I almost always write in hindsight. So I get where he's coming from. But at the same time, I never really talk to current partners about stuff. If, like, let's say I'm writing about an ex-boyfriend, I wouldn't tell a current boyfriend about it, especially if I'm writing a lot about that person, because I can understand making a partner jealous. So I get where the caller's coming from, too. So I guess my opinion or my thought process is just, she was saying that she wanted to have like the open line of communication to talk about exes with her boyfriend. So I think just making sure the line of communication is really open, but also at the same time being able to say like, hey, I feel like there's been a lot of this recently. You're allowed to feel a lot. You're allowed to like think about stuff, but I don't necessarily want to hear it all the time. It's a super valid thing for her to say and do. But at the same time, like I said, I totally get where he's coming from because I do the exact same thing. So yeah, I think just opening that line of communication, I know that's the answer to like literally every question ever, but just making sure the communication is possible and that way of saying, hey, that's enough, I'm good, is also there, because I think that that's a really, really important thing to have in that situation. That's it. Thanks.
Is that your voice or is that a voice changer
I think
app?
it's a voice changer app.
If it's their normal voice, I'm like, you have to be a musician because I'm like,
It kind of sounds like Tracy Chapman.
Well, I'm like the octaves. It's just like at the same. But if it is a voice changer app, I did look up Canadian singers because you're definitely Canadian a bit. So it could be Avril Lavigne, Celine Dion, Carly Rae Jepsen,
Celine Dion,
Alanis Morissette, Joni Mitchell, Sarah McLachlan. It's not going to be Shania Twain because she definitely doesn't listen, even though she accidentally said that she was pro-Trump.
Jepsen would listen.
100% gay icon. I mean, I think this all makes sense to me. Like how you would, if you're too emotional about, like, it's kind of like you need the time to process. If you're too emotional, you're going to make like a worse product. But yeah, talking about with partners is a little odd, but I think everything should spot on.
Yeah.
Spot fucking on. I would love to get an update from that original caller. Cause like we also, as far as I know, we never had been linked to any songs.
Oh yeah. You were supposed to, I think hold on. I think she actually messaged us, but they didn't send any songs.
Oh. Well, we should look. I'll look.
I might be just making that up.
No, but it sounds right.
Send us some songs.
We want to hear. That's really how we can tell.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for our episode, guys. We really hope you enjoyed. If you want to call in for an upcoming one, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to listen ad-free, we're on Stitcher Premium. And if you want to watch the video version, head on over to Patreon. And if you want to support our Patreon in general, we would appreciate it so much. It's what helps. There's no lights on in this room, but it's what helps keeps the lights on.
There's lots of lights on here.
Exactly.
Fair.
It would mean the absolute world to us, and it means that we can keep making this show for you. So we've got the video version over there. We also we do like exclusive live streams and all that stuff, but it's, supporting the current show to maintain the current show. Because Miss Rona has taken away
ads,
and this is not free to do. So we would love if you did that. If you want to follow us on Instagram, our own individual socials are listed down below, including Twitter, which hit up Melissa on Twitter. It's a great time. And the podcast on Instagram. We would love if you headed on over there. And if you are listening, our Facebook group is officially reopened for you to join, and we will have a link for it. If you're not listening at this point, here you go. This is where it's at. We are highly selective of people, so you might not get in the first time. You also might not get in the seventh time. And we are also kicking people out periodically if they are not active and they're not posting. So yeah, and it might seem harsh, but we have, as of already, we've got like over 2,000 members who are able to do that. And it's a great community for them. And if you don't fit in with that community, that's totally fine. It doesn't mean that like we don't appreciate you and anything like that. But there are some people who don't like to use Facebook a lot. Some people who don't really like to post and with their real picture and ask for advice and talk about their lives. And that's totally, totally fine. But we can't have people just consuming that content without participating, because people share a lot of really sensitive stuff on there. And we want to make sure that everybody's, I don't want to say like everybody's
they're
sharing.
being respected. Everybody should be respected.
And it's like listening into someone's therapy session without ever telling someone that you're in the room. And that's kind of not what we are about there. So, yeah. And also one thing I will also say, if you don't like either of us, or like you're kind of like critical, like if you're an asshole or you don't like us, I actually recently kicked somebody out because they DM'd me about something and I like scrolled back and they like sent me like a nasty fucking message a couple months ago. And I was like, bitch, we're in a Facebook group. I'm fucking kicking you out. Like, no, like, if you're an asshole, no. And if you don't have our same like belief system or whatever, also not like, it's our group.
Yeah. Go start your own group.
Start your own group. No shade.
Sweat off our back.
Really don't mind at all. But
this isn't for people that are hate following.
No, this is for like-minded people. And it's not even just it's like we've created this community of some people in our community really think a lot like us and have a lot of the same values and belief system, which is great. And then that's what this group is for. And we have 2,000 people like that. So it's not just about, oh, you don't believe this. And I personally, as Megan, don't believe this. So you can't be in the group. I'm like, no, you're not going to.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Fit in with like all these other people who are kind of on the same page, and you will get eaten alive by them if you say something that's not right. But yeah, so excited for people to be able to join in the loveliness, and may the odds be ever in your favor.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for being here. Don't Blame Me is a production by me, executive produced by Melisa D. Monts, edited by Katrina Henning, and music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Do you love Disney? Do you love top 10 lists? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. The parks, the movies, the music, the food, the lore. There is nothing we don't cover on our show.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed.
I had Danielle and Megan record some answers to seemingly meaningless questions. I asked Danielle what insect song is typically higher pitched in hotter temperatures and lower pitched in cooler temperatures.
You got this.
No, I didn't.
Don't believe that. About a wish coming true? Well, I didn't either. Of course, I'm just a
cicada. I'm crying. I'm so sorry, Jiminy.
You win that one.
So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.